have started studying diseases in community medicine. One of the most important targeted diseases in public health nowadays are measles and rubella. Okay, we'll know and learn why is it an important part of the problem in public health. So, we'll start with measles. We all know, we have all heard of the disease measles. বলো তো কাদের মধ্যে সবথেকে বেশি হয় measles? Blank faces won't do. Okay, you're about to be a doctor, you should know in whom measles occur. Children and nowadays adolescents as well. So because for intensive vaccination, the target of the measles virus is now the adolescent group. So it has moved to the adolescent, to the young population. Many measles cases are occurring among that age group also, but primarily in India still the main age group for measles is children, especially under 5-year-old children. So it is an acute, highly contagious viral disease. Okay, it remains a significant cause of childhood morbidity and mortality worldwide. Okay, in the world, but especially in the countries where measles have not been eliminated yet, like India. It is a vaccine preventable disease. It is a vaccine preventable disease. That is the first thing you have to remember. Measles is a vaccine preventable disease, and it is the leading cause of vaccine preventable death in children under 5 years. Under 5 years, children are suffering from mainly many infections, respiratory problems, but majority of the respiratory problems are caused from measles. Transmission highly contagious via respiratory droplets with 90% attack rate. So it is highly contagious. If a child is infected, he or she can spread that to a susceptible child through droplets. Droplet spread is there, droplet transmission is there, and there is a 90% chance that the child will be infected with the measles. And prevention is, it is very much preventable through either measles rubella or measles mumps rubella vaccine, whichever is available in the country, and it is a high seroconversion rate, that is it makes the child immune to measles. So it is a highly vaccine preventable disease, but is still not caused towards elimination in India yet. So let's understand the mechanics behind the spread of measles. Okay, it is to the agent, host and environment factors. Agent is highly infectious 4 days before to 4 days after rash appearance. So in measles we know it comes what is the main symptom? Fever with rash. Okay, the main symptom of measles is fever with rash, যেটাকে বাংলা আমরা হাম বলি, ঠিক আছে? That is কি হয়, পুরো বডিতে মুখে চুকে চারিদিকে লাল ম্যাকুলোপ্যাপুলার র্যাশ বেরোবে. Okay, and it will be led before with fever. So when the rashes start appearing 4 days before to 4 days after the rash appearance, the child remains most contagious. So the spread is maximum during that time through droplets. It is transmitted via droplet secretions of the nose, throat and respiratory tract of a case of measles during the prodromal period and the early stages of eruption. So this is how the infection spreads, to the droplet spread of the nose, mouth, respiratory tract. Then who are the hosts of the disease? A susceptibility from 6 months onwards. Okay, from 6 months onwards to 3 years and more than 5 years in developed countries. Why 6 months? Why the child becomes prone to measles after 6 months? Anyone can say? Ekta guess koro. Maternal antibody. Very good. So before 6 months to around 9 months, maternal antibodies are protecting the child. But after that, the maternal antibodies against measles are not enough to protect the child. So that is why the vaccination is started after 6 months. So maternal antibodies protect infants up to 6 to 9 months of age. Malnutrition increases the severity. Now if a child is malnourished from beforehand, the severity of measles disease increases. Okay, the severity increases. Mortality becomes much higher. And there is equal incidence in both sexes with lifelong immunity after infection. So in male female it occurs in equal proportion, and after a child gets measles they are immune for life. Just like after getting a vaccine the child is immune, so even catching an infection makes the child immune, okay, for life. Now what are the main clinical signs and symptoms? There are 4 phases. Prodromal phase, that is days 1 to 4, high fever, coryza, conjunctivitis, cough, and pathognomic Koplik spots, that is in the buccal mucosa behind the molars there will occurrence of bluish white spots, that is the Koplik spots. Okay, so this is a high fever, coryza, conjunctivitis and Koplik spots. Pathognomic means it is very characteristic of this disease only. If you see Koplik spots in a child suffering from a fever, then it is around 100% sure the child is suffering from measles, even before the rashes appear. Now in the eruptive phase the rashes appear, that is from day 5. Maculopapular rash begins behind the ears, spreads cephalocaudally over 2 to 3 days, means it starts appearing from behind the ear, face, neck, then spread to the upper limbs, then the body, then to the lower limbs. And thereafter the rashes disappear in that way also. It first disappears from the face, then the limbs, then the body. Okay, so it starts appearing from behind the ears and then spreads downwards cephalocaudally. That is the eruptive phase. Then what is the recovery phase? Fever subsides as rash appears. Brownish discoloration may persist for weeks. Okay, now the fever is subsiding and the brownish discoloration of the rash is there. It can stay up to weeks and then it disappears as it has appeared. What can be the, after these phases, after the recovery phase or during the recovery phase, what complications can the child suffer from? The child can suffer from pneumonia, encephalitis, secondary bacterial infections in immunocompromised children. Okay, so not in all measles case these complications appear. In an immunized child, if measles appears also, it only limits till fever with rash. But if a child is severely immunocompromised or has a long cycle of malnutrition or infections one after another, then the child can suffer from these complications. Okay, it depends on the health status of the child, nutrition of the child. So based on typical rash and clinical presentation with fever, cough and conjunctivitis and Koplik spots, these are the diagnosis is made. Okay, the measles diagnosis is made. Diagnosis is incorrect if red eyes and cough absent in febrile exanthem. If during the fever phase these features are absent, then it might not be measles as well. Okay, but it again depends. Not all symptoms appear in every child. So what are the lab tests that can detect the measles? That is a clinical diagnosis. Now what are the laboratory diagnosis? Okay, there is the ELISA test for specific measles antibodies in the developed countries, and in our countries nowadays there is RT-PCR. Before measles used to be diagnosed like clinical phase, in clinically only, but now after the advent of RT-PCR you can also detect the virus in the throat swabs, oral fluid or urine. Okay, if you want confirmed diagnosis. So what are the general management? General management is supportive care, because it's a viral infection, there is no antiviral against this. So this fever management, adequate hydration, nutrition support, that is supportive treatment. Vitamin A supplementation. Okay, because measles infection depletes the reserves of vitamin A from the child's body and can cause vitamin A deficiency as a result. So you need to have a vitamin A supplementation during that time. So 200,000 international units for children more than 12 months, it reduces mortality. Okay, it reduces mortality. Less than 12 months, 1 lakh international units. Above 12 months, 2 lakh international units, okay, for a few days continuously. That will help with the vitamin A reserves in the body. Then it is advised to isolate the patient for 4 days after rash onset to prevent transmission. Because once the rash has now appeared, it is clear that the child is suffering from measles. So you isolate the child from other susceptible people for 4 to 5 days after the rash appearance, because that is when the child is most contagious. And monitor the complications for pneumonia, encephalitis and secondary infections. Okay. You already know this. The complications are pneumonia. Most common is pneumonia. Then there is encephalitis. Then there is otitis media, that is secondary bacterial infection in the middle ear. Right? And this, what is this? SSPE, subacute sclerosing panencephalitis. Okay? It is a rare complication, but it can appear in a child inadequately treated. Okay, as a late complication, SSPE. So, what is the main preventive in the management apart from the other managements? What is the mainstay of management here? That is prevention by vaccine. Measles, okay? So, what is the vaccine here? Live attenuated measles containing vaccine. Right? Measles containing vaccine is live vaccine. Okay, not killed vaccine but live vaccine. What does live vaccine come in? What does the vial come in? Freeze dried powder format. In a powder format with a diluent. What is the diluent in measles? Distilled water. Okay, you mix the diluent to the freeze dried powder, reconstitute it and then give to the child. Freeze dried live attenuated vaccine, it can be monovalent, it can be measles rubella, it can be measles mumps rubella, variola and etc. That can also be there. So it depends on which vaccine is available in the which country's national program. Potency, it is high, and what is the efficacy? At 12 months, it is around at 95%, okay, and after 2 doses, it becomes around 98 to 99% efficacy. That is, it will protect the children and those in the community from the infection as well. Around almost 99% efficacy. This we have already learned in our practical classes, that what is cold chain. Okay, we have already learned in the cold chain how it is kept. It is kept within 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. Okay, it is protected from light. It is also light sensitive vaccine. It comes in amber colored vials, right? And it should be discarded after 4 hours of reconstitution, because it does not come under the open vial policy. Okay, you cannot keep the vaccine for subsequent sessions of immunization. You have to discard it in the same session after 4 hours of reconstitution. Okay, because why? Reconstituted vaccine loses 50% potency after 1 hour at 20 degrees. So in temperature of India, it is very hard to keep the reconstituted measles vaccine potent as well. So that is why we keep it in the hose of the ice pack to maintain in the temperature. Okay, because it loses its potency after certain temperature. And do not use after 4 hours. Why? Because using after 4 hours can include then contamination and can cause toxic shock syndrome in the children. If you give that vaccine, then the old vaccine to the children, it will cause toxic shock syndrome in the children. So to prevent that complication, you have to discard the vaccine after 4 hours. Okay, this schedule you know. First dose MR1 is given at 9 to 12 months on high transmission areas in the NIS. In the second dose at 16 to 24 months with minimum 4-week interval. So from the first dose to the second dose, there should be a minimum of 4-week intervals or 1 month interval, not before that. And 2 doses provide 98% protection against measles and rubella, this MRVac vaccine. Okay, this is a picture of the vaccine that is provided by the Serum Institute of India. So in India, in the NIS, the measles rubella vaccine is there, MR. Okay, not MMR, not just measles, MR vaccine is given everywhere right now. It was changed from just measles vaccine in 2017. In 2017, in the NIS, the MR vaccine was introduced, and after that, all the vaccines now given are the MR vaccines only. No other forms. Now, this we have already explained. High transmission or developing countries like in India, where the measles transmission is of high risk, till around 6 months there is a maternal antibody is there, and around 9 months when the maternal antibody efficacy is ending, you give the first dose as a routine part. There is an around 90% or 94% seroconversion, and after the second dose in 16-24 months, it is increasing up to 98%. Okay, and this is in the scenario in the developed countries where there is almost elimination or where the disease has been eliminated as well. In those, the first dose is given around 12 months and the second dose at 18 months. That is at least keeping 4 weeks gap. What is a special circumstance? That is, examiner can ask, in case of an outbreak of measles, when will you give the measles vaccine? It's a very important question. So, dose should be given at 6 months. Does not count towards routine schedule. That is, even after giving the vaccine at 6 months of age to a child, you have to give the routine vaccine as well at 9 months and then at 16 months. Okay, so in case of an outbreak, even at 6 months the vaccine is given, but that does not count towards routine immunization in case of an outbreak of measles in a community. In case of an HIV infection, offer first dose at 6 months in high incidence areas. Okay. For example, in HIV infection of a child, maybe the mother is HIV infected, the child has somehow become HIV infected. So in that HIV positive case, you give the vaccine at 6 months. Okay. What are the contraindications and special precautions? That is, do not vaccinate, and when should you vaccinate? In which cases? In case of pregnancy, avoid pregnancy for 1 month. That is, I am talking about the MR vaccine, not just measles. When should you give the MR vaccine? Especially for the rubella component, you should avoid giving it in pregnancy. Okay, so avoid pregnancy for 1 month to 4 weeks after vaccination. So during pregnancy, you cannot give. If you are giving the measles rubella vaccine, you have to tell them to avoid pregnancy for at least 1 month after giving the MR vaccine. Okay. Then severe immunosuppression. Symptomatic HIV with severe suppression, congenital immunodeficiency. So in immunosuppressive cases, you do not give the vaccine. And severe acute illness, you delay until the patient improves. That is why child is suffering from high fever, diarrhea and has come for immunization, you reject them. You say that we cannot give vaccine at this stage because it's a live attenuated vaccine, it can cause severe infection if the vaccine is given. So after the child improves, bring them, we will vaccinate them. Not during active infection. Okay. Vaccination when it is indicated in cases like asymptomatic HIV, okay, in case of breastfeeding, in case of mild illness, where like otitis media or upper respiratory infections, that is mild form of these infections, not severe, they are not that much contraindicated. And in case of tuberculosis, you can administer with TST or delay the TST, that is tuberculosis sensitivity test, by 4 weeks. So, in case of tuberculosis also it is not contraindicated. What are the adverse reactions of the MR vaccine? What are the adverse reactions of the MR vaccine? It can cause common and mild reactions. That is fever. 5% can experience fever. Okay, delayed fever. It occurs 7 to 12 days after vaccination. There can be minor injection site discomfort. There can be swelling and tenderness, redness just after administration of the vaccine, and 2% can develop a transient rash. This temporary rash is observed in a minority of vaccinated children. Okay, these are the small, that is adverse reactions, small AEFI. Okay, not severe or serious AEFI. So, what are some of the rare events that can occur due to MR vaccine? There can be febrile seizures, 1 in 3,000 children. There can be thrombocytopenic purpura, 1 in 30,000 children. Okay? And what are the rare events and safety facts? There is no link to severe neurological issues. That is, there is no evidence that giving a vaccine, and if the child is suddenly suffering from Guillain-Barré syndrome, for example, then it is not linked to the vaccine. So you have to also understand how to separate a certain AEFI from the vaccine, because not AEFI, not all AEFI are caused from the vaccine itself, right? There can be anxiety related, there can be coincidental events, okay? There can be other causes as well, some pre-existing conditions as well. So you cannot link then increased risk of encephalitis or with the Guillain-Barré syndrome, okay? It prevents encephalitis actually, right? Measles cause encephalitis, this should be preventing encephalitis. So if a child is then suffering suddenly from encephalitis, it is not linked to measles vaccine, okay? Second dose is better tolerated. Adverse events are less likely to occur following the second dose, and in such cases, anaphylaxis is extremely rare. It occurs 1 in 1 million children. So it is well tolerated. Allergy, anaphylaxis are not that much, but certain rare events can occur like this. Okay, but still weighing the options, if there are no contraindications, measles containing vaccine should be given because it prevents very high, severe complications, severe diseases, right? Like SSP and congenital rubella syndrome in case of rubella, SSP in case of measles. Okay, so it is a very important vaccine. There are not much side effects commonly. There are many rare side effects, but there are many much protection against very severe complications that are even fatal to the child. Then besides vaccine, what are the other preventive measures? There is the immunoglobulin. So when do you give the immunoglobulin? Number one, if someone asks you, when do you give immunoglobulin in measles then? First answer should be during outbreak. Okay, because you need to give immediate protection to the child. So exposure to measles is a contact susceptible. The person has been exposed to a measles case, and if that person did not have measles vaccine or is immunocompromised or did not have measles previously, okay, or pregnant mother, then yes, the contact is susceptible. So what is the time since exposure? If the time since exposure has been less than 3 days, then administer the vaccine. If the time has been more than 3 days, then you also administer the immunoglobulin as well. Okay, the immunoglobulin as well. So dose is 0.25 ml per kg of body weight, and rule is defer the live measles vaccine for 8 to 12 weeks after the immunoglobulin administration. So if you need to protect the child immediately, give the immunoglobulin and wait for 3 months and then give the live vaccine. Okay, because you are already administering immunoglobulin, so there is no use of live vaccine right now. In the immunoglobulin will fade away after 8 to 12 weeks, and then you can give the live vaccine for the protection, and the person will respond better to the vaccine then, because the body has already been exposed to the immunoglobulin, right, to the antibody. Okay, so we have completed the measles section, the disease section and prevention section. Now we will come to the rubella. This is also a very important disease in the Indian scenario, especially in pregnant mothers and the resultant pregnancy in the children. There is another disease called mumps as well. We are not covering it in the lecture because mumps is like very much similar to measles, but it is not that much severe, and it occurs with the swelling of the parotid gland. Mumps. Okay, there is not much difference in it, and there is no vaccine against mumps. So, from the public health perspective, the important two diseases that are in the program right now and being tackled are the measles and the rubella. So, rubella is also called German measles. It is a mild viral infection caused by the rubella virus. It is generally benign in children, that is, it does not cause death usually. It poses significant risk during pregnancy and cause congenital rubella syndrome. Okay, it causes CRS. The most common complication in rubella, especially in pregnancy, is the resulting congenital rubella syndrome in the children. Okay. So what is the risk then if it is not that much fatal? There is a teratogenic risk. What is that? That is infection in the first trimester causes severe birth defects in up to 90% of the cases. So the children will be born with birth defects. It usually causes mild disease in children and adults with low grade fever. And what is the prevention? It is again eliminated through the MR or the MMR vaccination programs in many countries. That is the mainstay of prevention. So, what are the congenital defects then? That is the congenital rubella syndrome that we are talking about. The driver for global elimination policy is a congenital rubella syndrome. Basically, within rubella, all the countries want to eliminate the CRS. Okay, because that is causing maximum burden later in life also. So, it is a rising health cost, it is a rising social problem if a child is born with birth defects. Okay, and the mother is, in fact, the mother will recover because it's a mild infection, but it will affect the child for the lifetime. Okay, so rubella in children, there is a mild, often asymptomatic, if the infection happens to the children themselves, then it is a mild infection. But in utero, it is devastating effect. Okay, it is a teratogenic risk if it is mother is suffering from the rubella in the first trimester. So what are the classical triad of the CRS? That is cataract, sensory neural deafness and cardiac malformation. Okay, sensory neural deafness, cardiac malformation like patent ductus arteriosus, septal defects and congenital cataracts. And also other than that there are pneumonia and etc. So the child can be suffering from these congenital defects. This is a classic triad of CRS. Okay. So again, deafness, cardiac malformation, cataract. Understood? What are the host factors in rubella, that is in whom the rubella will occur? It affects children and young adults milder than measles. Pregnancy risk, teratogenic effects in first trimester. But if you get the infection or vaccination, there is lifelong immunity. Okay? So that is why vaccination is very important in this case as well. What are the agent factors? The rubella virus is less stable than the measles virus. It is sensitive to heat and UV light. The infectious period is 1 week before to 4 days after the rash onset. Okay? That is 1 week before the rash onset to 4 days after the rash onset. The child becomes or the adult becomes the most contagious to spread. And environmental factors, seasonal pattern, late winter and spring. Okay? That is বসন্ত রোগ যেটাকে বলে, ঠিক আছে? It refers to both measles and rubella. Both are spreading around the same time, late winter and spring. So what are the clinical signs and symptoms? There is mild fever. Fine pink rash like this starts from the face, spread downwards. There is lymphadenopathy, that is posterior auricular nodes. Okay, behind the ears there might be swelling. You can find swelling of the lymph nodes in the children and there might be pain as well. So it is lymphadenopathy. And mild upper respiratory symptoms and conjunctivitis. So mild URI and conjunctivitis. So the symptoms are almost like measles, but it is much milder. Okay. And lymphadenopathy, enlarged posterior cervical nodes and low grade fever or mild respiratory symptoms and joint pain in adults. In children and adults, there is a different manifestation of the rubella disease. So, what are the lab tests? IgM serology for acute infections, positive 3 to 4 days after rash. RT-PCR for throat swab or urine for viral RNA detection, and also IgG antibody for the immunity and vaccination status. So, it is like measles only. IgM ELISA, okay, and RT-PCR. Again, in case of management, there is no specific management, only supportive treatment like measles only. Breast fluid exam, symptomatic relief for fever and discomfort. Isolation till 7 days after rash onset. So the infectivity period lasts longer than the measles. It is around 7 to 10 days after the rash appearance instead of 4 days. And avoid contact with the infected. In congenital rubella syndrome, there is a highest risk of first trimester infection and the classical triad. Other effects, these are the microcephaly and growth retardation are there as well in the children, in the CRS. Okay. So, what are the preventive measures that are there? Again, vitamin A supplementation. It reduces measles mortality, laboratory confirmation for rubella, pregnancy screening for rubella. So, when a pregnant mother is also coming, besides screening for like anemia, viral infections, then HPLC nowadays, then VDRL for syphilis, also you can screen for the rubella as well. The mother is suffering from any infection and MR vaccination. So now this one slide is explaining everything regarding the latest programmatic aspect of the measles and rubella. That is the latest, it has launched in 2025. Okay. It is not in your 28th edition. I have checked, it is not in the 28th edition because it was launched later in 2025. But it can come as like a part of a question in your exam because it has been active for over a year now. Okay. So, because the program, that vaccination program, the immunization program is working, there is 73% decline in the measles case. Okay. And there are many districts that are reporting zero measles case, zero rubella case. So, the program is working. Now, we can look towards elimination of the measles and rubella. Okay, because the program is working, we can look towards eliminating the disease itself. In many districts, 93.7% coverage of MR1 dose and 92.2% coverage of MR2 dose is there, but our target is to achieve more than 95% per district. That is, more than 95% children should be immunized with these doses. So, the coverage is not there yet. Under this roadmap, the coverage should be more than 95% per district. And what is the total coverage target? By 2026, 100% of the children should be immunized with measles. Like polio, 100% of the children are almost immunized. In many cases, 100% of the pregnancies are delivered in the institutes instead of home delivery nowadays. So, like that only, the measles coverage should also be 100%. Okay. But we are a little short of the goal. So, we have to achieve that by 2026. And vaccines are provided. How should we do that? What are the strategies? 2-dose schedule should be followed strictly. That is, not 1 dose should be missed in any child. Act now policy. Strategy focused on active surveillance. That is, you go home to home and look for measles cases. That is fever with rash. In the villages and the in urban areas as well, what they do, the ASHA workers or the health workers, they go and have that IDSP form, that is the integrated disease surveillance form. That is a disease surveillance form is done every week by the ASHA once a week. They go home to home in their catchment area and ask whether they have the children is suffering from fever with rash, whether the children is suffering from diarrhea, whether the children is suffering from pneumonia, etc., cough and etc. So they collect it in that P forms, form P, that is a basic form. The S form, S form. So, in the surveillance form, they collect it. Okay. And that is how the active surveillance for the measles is done. Especially the migratory and the remote populations. We have to go towards the remote populations and migratory population, that is the missed population or the vulnerable, most vulnerable to miss out on the health programs. They have to target those populations as well and find out whether the children there are suffering from measles and rubella or not. Okay. And again, immunization, surveillance, outbreak response, mass awareness, linkages, these are the main strategies for the 2026 mission. What is the 2026 mission? The initiative aims for total disease elimination by 2026. How? By 100% immunization, coverage and strengthening the surveillance. So, those are the main two strategies, immunization and surveillance. Okay. So, that is the 2026 mission for elimination of measles. Depending on the vaccination, 100% coverage and the Act Now policy. Okay, so these points should be there in your mind in the mission 2026. It was launched in the immunization week of 2025. It focuses on achieving the immunization coverage of 100% children in all districts, and the act now by active surveillance. What is the aim? To eliminate measles by 2026. Okay, so this is the main points. Now in your book there is the Global Measles and Rubella Strategic Framework of 2021-2030. In your book this is there. So what is this? This is the global aiming or the global framework for achieving measles elimination throughout the world. Okay, for both measles and rubella by 2030. So how that can be achieved? There are certain strategies. What are those? PSC integration, that is incorporate that management and surveillance in from the PSC level itself, that is the primary healthcare itself. Support the universal health coverage. Then accountability and demand. Okay, national and subnational programs should incorporate and everyone should take part in eliminating the measles. And drive community, even the community should take part in helping elimination of measles. Closing the immunity gaps, that is still 100% coverage is not achieved yet, so we have to close that gap. Life course approach, delivery of second routine dose beyond infancy or catch-up strategies, that is people who have missed the second dose. The children who have missed the second dose within the 5 years, that is measles vaccine can be given till 5 years, right? So within 5 years they have to take the second dose, they have to get the catch-up dose at least, so that they are protected and the seroconversion is achieved. Then the outbreak preparedness, you have to prepare for timely detection and rapid response. Okay, and supply chain, sustainable supply of vaccines and reagents, so that the vaccine shortages should not be there in any country. And finally research and innovation, that is new tools to overcome barriers to population immunity. So continuous research development should be there in this sector so that new methods can be achieved, better ways, better vaccines, okay, better drugs can be there to control the disease. And in outbreak control, what are the tactics? That is, in case of an outbreak, if a question is there, what are the main tactics that you have to mention? Isolation. Isolate the patient for 7 days after the onset of any rash. Passive immunization. I administered immunoglobulin within 3 to 4 days after contacts. Ring immunization. Vaccinate contacts within 2 days of exposure, and vitamin A therapy to prevent blindness. Okay, so these are the outbreak measures. And this re-immunization, the immunization should be there from even the 6-month-old child as well. So these are the measures that are there for outbreak control of measles or rubella. Okay, mainly in India, measles, there is an outbreak of measles. So these are the strategies for outbreak control of the diseases. And why it is feasible means that so much is going on to eliminate the disease. Is it feasible that that elimination can be achieved or not? Because not all diseases are like everything else, right? TB is very hard to eliminate. Why? Because it remains dormant in our body. It can reactivate anytime. There are many diseases with animal reservoirs. You do not know. You cannot cut up every animal in the world and see whether the diseases are present in there or not. But measles and rubella, they can be eliminated. Why? Because there is no animal reservoir. It occurs only in humans. The vaccine is heat stable, available, so the vaccines are usually produced in good quality and 2 doses are required. So if you just close these gaps, then you can successfully eliminate measles. So that is why the government is now wanting to eliminate the next disease, and the next disease on target is measles. Okay, intensive phase is going on. So what are the key takeaways? The goal is to eliminate by 2030, maintain more than 95% coverage of either vaccine in all districts and achieve 100% immunization. The vaccine is there and the emergency response of immunoglobulin and vitamin A. Okay, understood? So it is not very difficult. Mainly the questions from here will be relating to, they might tell you like a case scenario of measles, that a person has come with fever, rash, Koplik spots, etc. So what is the provisional diagnosis? what are the tests that you can do, and what are the control and preventive measures that you can take. Or they might ask a question like, there's an outbreak in your area, as a BMOH, what will you take the steps? So in this kind of format the questions will come, okay, in this measles and rubella diseases. Okay, so prepare accordingly.